Earmuffs. Not everyone deserves to be heard. What? Yeah, you got to put on earmuffs sometimes because not everybody deserves to be heard.
Grab the duct tape and mentally prepare yourself for yet another mind-expanding knowledge bomb from America's #1 business coach, Clay Clark.
Bombs away.
Yes, and yes. Dr. Breck, welcome onto the show. How are you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm doing great, Clay. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm having a great week. My understanding is your week might be better than my week because your pool is now open. Am I right? Is your pool open?
It's right there. We're close.
So do we have water in the pool?
We have water in the pool.
Water's in the pool.
Yep.
What are the final stages that we have to lock down to open up the incredible oasis at Dr. Breck's backyard here?
We have to get the chemistry right, but other than that, we're ready.
The chemistry, is it like you and the chemicals need to agree on things, or
you got to set the mood, set the tone.
Oh wow!
Light some candles.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, wow! I didn't know.
No.
Okay.
The chlorine, the calcium, the hardness, the pH balance in the water. So right now, it's basically just a really big bathtub.
Now talk to me about the pH balance. Educate us and all the people out there that don't have a pool. Educate us about the chemicals, the pH balance, what that means.
Well, this is an in-ground, recently replastered pool, and so to take care of that surface, you have to have the right pH. You've got to have the right water hardness for the rest of the chemistry, the chlorine to do its proper job to keep the algae growth down. And
so, what happens if you don't have the right balance?
It gets nasty quick. Here in Oklahoma, at least, it gets really nasty quick. You get a couple of leaves and debris in the pool, and that's organic matter that the algae can eat off of. And the next thing you know, you've got a nice green cesspool instead of a fun oasis.
A little swamp instead of a splash
a little
pad.
swamp.
So now you're saying that do you have a guy that comes by and does this for you, or do you do this yourself?
Well, we had to have it redone. Like the whole pool has been renovated.
Why?
And so somebody else
why'd
did
you have
that.
to renovate it?
Well, we bought the house as a foreclosure, and there was a lot of deferred maintenance. And so every so often there is a need to do this, and it was past due time.
Like what kind of stuff you did? Replace the tile? You had to put it
Yeah, we did some stonework, some tile work. They replastered the surface, so that was a nice process of about an inch and a half thick.
Is there a deck around your pool?
A rock patio deck.
Oh, cool.
But it's kind of hot on your feet.
Did you have to renovate that at all, or is
that had to be worked on some because we had some pipes break sometime before we owned the house. And so, they did all of that. But otherwise, the regular maintenance stuff I take care of.
There's so much to unpack here. So you bought your house out of a foreclosure.
I did, yeah. I like to get a good deal.
And I'm not asking you to share your address with the listeners out there. That's where we're not going to go there.
I'll get you in the ballpark.
Okay.
I'm near 71st and Harvard.
Okay, and so you go, you and your wife decide you want to buy a foreclosure. What was your process like for buying the foreclosure?
We did a lot of online searching.
A lot of online searching.
Yeah, just, I was
Where do you go to search for online foreclosures?
Well, there wasn't any specific place, but I would be on Realtor. I'd be on Zillow.
How did you know it was in foreclosure?
You can just find out through some of the information. If it's bank owned, there's a lack of details and things that you start to figure out, and the price point is definitely better than it should be for the size of the
home.
I'm
not asking the price of the house. I'm just going to ask you, as a percentage, how much of a discount did you get on that house?
Oh, goodness. Probably about a 50%.
50%?
Yeah, I think
you bought a house 50% off?
Maybe a little more than.
You're sick.
I think we got it
That is awesome.
$45, $47
no way.
square foot.
No way.
Wow.
I don't. No. So you got the thing half
I've
off?
been paying for it ever since, but yeah.
That's impressive.
There's a project around every corner.
That's impressive. So you bought the thing, you got it half off. You're in the house. How long have you been in the house?
Just 6 years.
Now, when you were going through the process of buying the house, did you have anybody who told you it's not a good idea to buy a foreclosure?
I did.
Oh, don't buy a foreclosure.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea. I'm not asking you to name names, but
Right.
what people in your life were telling you it's a bad idea to buy a foreclosure?
Well, I think some that just wanted to hear their own voice.
Did you have people specifically say this to you?
Yeah. I also had some that I think that were well-intentioned, but, looking out for my best interest.
Did you have realtors tell you not to buy a foreclosure?
I had one that told me this is a real bad idea. I think they might have had another client or different idea on the back burner.
Family members?
I was going to interrupt. Some family members said, I think this may be a money pit. You might want to walk away.
Do you have anybody else tell you, hey, you shouldn't buy a foreclosure?
No.
No,
I think
okay,
that was, yeah.
okay. Then I didn't want to make sure
I had some friends that were kind of cautious.
Really giving
No.
you bad information. Okay, so you had some friends. I'm mentioning this because today's show is called Earmuffs. Not everyone deserves to be heard.
Right.
Now I'm just going to throw out this idea for the listeners out there. I'm just going to throw it out, and you can just maybe you don't like today's show and you say I don't like what you're throwing out. That's fine. You can boomerang back some negativity, but this is what I'm saying.
Or maybe they need to put on the earmuffs.
This is what I'm saying. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce right now is showing that right now, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and CBS News, 75% of employees steal from the workplace.
So
And
sad.
most do so repeatedly.
Yeah.
All right? So think about that for a second. Wow, that's a positive thing. Okay. Now think about this other fun positive stat. 85% of job candidates are lying on their resumes, according to Inc. magazine. And Forbes is reporting that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. 9 out of 10. So if you look at it just objectively, conservatively, at least 85% of people are wrong about everything. Right? Because 85% of people are lying on resumes, 75% are stealing from the workplace. I mean, Jason, would you, with stats like this, would you agree that at least 7 out of 10 people do not know what they're talking about?
With the stats to back it up, absolutely, but also with personal experience, I realized, that's
So so I'm going to give you some examples of what I'm talking about today, and we'll just kind of work through this together. So one, if you're out there listening today and you're thinking about buying a house, okay, you're thinking about buying a house, and you're thinking about buying a foreclosure, as Dr. Breck just mentioned, that's a great idea if you have enough cash or can pull enough cash out of the house to renovate it. But I don't know anybody listening to this show who shouldn't buy a house out of foreclosure if you can. Why? Why am I saying that? Because you're buying money. You're paying 50 cents and getting $1.
Right.
That's a hot deal.
I thought so.
It's a smoking deal. Why would anybody not do that? I'll tell you why. Because there's family, people in your life who are going, no, you should buy a brand new house. You shouldn't look at one out of foreclosure. You know, listen to me. That is a great way to build wealth. I mean, Dr. Breck, is it possible to earn $100,000 of equity just by buying a house?
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
Think about that, dude. Your net worth goes
I think
up
we
100.
might have done a little better.
Your net worth goes up by $100,000 just by buying a house.
Right. True.
Why would you not do that? I'll tell you why people don't do it. It's because everyone around you is giving you false information.
right.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett says, be greedy when the market is fearful. Be greedy when the market is fearful. Let me give you another example. So many people, Jason, when it comes to growing a business, they say that the group interview is what? The group interview strategy that I've used for years and have taught to hundreds of business owners to create time freedom for their families, to create a inbound pipeline of great candidates. Most people, when they first hear about the group interview, they say what?
They say it's impossible, it's unethical, nobody in their right mind would ever do it. How could that possibly work? Who's going to show up for it?
You've seen the group interviews as
have.
recently as last Wednesday at 6 p.m., I think.
Yes, sir.
How many candidates do we have show up there approximately?
One of my clients had a record week. They had 8 people show up, and they only had like 12 confirm on Indeed, which is huge.
Think about this. That means that there is a total of, at our group interview, Dr. Breck, we had 50 people confirmed to be on the show.
Yeah.
And we only had, I think we only had like less than 20 show up.
Okay.
So why, Jason, would I want to interview all the candidates at the same time as opposed to interviewing them each individually?
Well, because you just said it allows you to interview all of those people at one time. If you had 20 people show up, that's half a work week if you schedule that out throughout your week to sit down for 1 hour of power like most people do, go through the process of them lying to you about the resume because 85% of them are going to, and it's easier, it's more condensed, and it shows you who your true like unicorns and A players are going to be because the people who stand out in a group setting, those are going to be the people that you want to hire.
So let me just give the listeners, I'm just trying to give you 2 examples. I'm going to probably give you 10 today. You watch out. I'm going to give you 10 examples of people being wrong. Real estate and foreclosures, okay? Not everybody, most people, 3 out of 4 people I run into really push back about the idea of foreclosures. They just do.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So on Monday night at 7 p.m., I'm looking into purchasing a house that is, it's crazy, but it's listed to be worth just over $800,000.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm going to get that thing for $410,000.
That's great.
That's
Talk
Now,
about that $100,000 equity.
Now why am I gonna go look at the house one more time? Why am I gonna? Because I want to make sure there's not core issues that I can't fix, big foundational problems. Therefore, I'm bringing one of the guys I flip houses with. But most people would go, but what if the market gets bad? Are you going to be stuck on the house? What if, I mean, come on. But I know very few people that say, yeah, that's a great idea, go do it. Most people are like, yeah, but what's the catch? There's not a catch. There's a lady who needs to get rid of her house. And she's trying to sell the thing, and we want to buy the thing, and it's just, there it is. Now, the group interview. I do the group interview every single week. Every week I do the group interview. You know why I do the group interview? Because it works. Yeah. But people push back on the group interview. Let me give you another example. Call recording. Dr. Breck, why do people push back on call recording? I mean, you're not a business coach, you're a chiropractor, but why do you think that most people push back on the idea of call recording, even though American Express does it on every call, Southwest Airlines does it, AT&T does it, every large company records their calls. Why does the typical small business owner push back about the concept of call recording?
Well, no doubt their employees are pushing back themselves. You know, they don't want to be recorded because if they were doing their job, they wouldn't push back. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing is rocking the boat, changing things, having to be that beneficial or benevolent dictator, as you said before.
Yes.
You know, but yeah, once you do, you know exactly what's happening and what's not happening with your scripts and sales, inbound, outbound calls.
Now, let me give you a few more examples of where most people are wrong about everything, okay? Let's get into no-brainer advertisements. I know that's super offensive for people. The idea that, I mean, we've already dealt with buying things out of foreclosure. We've talked about a group interview. I mean, we're really taking the show to a low level. Call recording. I mean, where do you get off recording your calls to make sure your people are actually saying what they should be saying? Now we move on. The no-brainer. People hate the no-brainer.
They hate it.
Customers love the no-brainer.
Yeah, even though it makes your customers love you. Oh, I just hate it.
Business owners hate the no-brainer.
Every time.
Customers love the no-brainer.
See, I don't understand. I never push back on the no-brainer.
So let me give you an example of a great no. I'll give you a great no-brainer. The New England Patriots are getting set to start their season here with every other NFL team going back to summer training camp here in a few weeks. And Julian Edelman, at the age of 32, continues to be Tom Brady's number one target. He's not 6 feet tall.
Right.
He's his favorite receiver. He was drafted as a quarterback from Kent State. And he worked on the practice squad for 2 years before getting to play for the Patriots in game-time situations. Now, what is the no-brainer offer that you think, Jason, what's the no-brainer offer that you think that Julian Edelman made to Tom Brady as a young player, year 1, year 2? Whoa!
That's a great question. I know nothing about football, so trying to relate.
Imagine you're a receiver. You were drafted. You played quarterback your whole career.
Yeah.
Right.
You're on the Patriots as a receiver.
Right.
You're sitting behind Wes Welker, who's a potentially a Hall of Fame receiver.
Yeah, great hands.
You're getting no playing time.
Gotcha.
What's the no-brainer that you could offer the greatest quarterback in the world in terms of winning Super Bowls?
If you go ahead.
Okay. You pass me the ball, and I'll give you all the credit.
Okay. What do you think, Dr. Breck? He's not on the field. Yeah. He's on the practice squad. What's the deal he could do? The no-brainer that Julian Edelman could do.
Until he gets on the field, that's tough.
What do you think he did to get on the field? What do you guys think he did?
Oh, man.
It's a no-brainer.
I'll carry your shoulder pads to practice every day, but I'm guessing that Tom Brady already has somebody doing that.
No, but that's about like that. This is what he does. This is what Edelman says. Edelman says
that's like the oldest play in the book.
Edelman knows that Brady likes to live and work out in California during the offseason. So he calls. First off, he flies to California. He and Tom have not pre-agreed to work out together.
Right.
And he calls, boop, 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 boop. Hey, Tom, I'm in the area, and if you need someone to catch some passes, I'm here. And he's like, you're in the area? Oh, I'm in the area. So now the only guy who's in the area is Julian Edelman. And
That's
if
smart.
you go back and watch the documentary or you learn about the situation, he didn't have a great living arrangement set up. He's just basically couch surfing. Because when you're on the practice squad, you're not making very much money.
Right. No.
And he travels out there not knowing that Tom Brady is going to reciprocate and say, yeah, let's team up here. He didn't know if Tom Brady would appreciate that.
Right.
But he did it. That's a no-brainer.
Right.
He didn't ask to be a starter first. A lot of guys won't do that. They won't work out with a guy like Tom Brady unless they're a starter.
Right.
But he made a no-brainer. Another example.
Probably said, anything you throw at me, I'll catch.
Right.
I mean,
Another example. Ryan Tedder right now has a TV show called Songland with Adam Levine from Maroon 5. And we have 2 contestants from the show booked now. 2 of the people from the NBC show are booked now on the Thrive Time show.
Very cool.
We have Max Embers booked there, and we have Darius booked to be on. These are contestants on the show, the hit show Songland.
It's a fun show.
To the contestants. Have you watched the show?
I have. Yeah. Well,
yes.
it's fun because I got to tell my kids that you know Ryan Tedder.
Yeah, there it is.
And I guess one of their babysitters previously also, her family knows him from Victory ORU.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just saying Ryan Tedder's a great guy, hardworking guy. And all I'm saying is that he wanted to go work with Timbaland. Now, do you guys know who Timbaland is? Did you, Jason, do you know who Timbaland is?
Oh, yeah. Every
Okay.
time I can't hear the word Timberland without hearing that.
Oh, really? Now, okay, so Timbaland was famous for doing a lot of, he does beats and he does songs that are very catchy, and he's done albums with Justin Timberlake. And so Ryan Tedder wanted to intern for Timbaland. Now, what's the no-brainer that Ryan Tedder had to make? Jason, what do you think the no-brainer is that Ryan Tedder had to make? He's working at Pottery Barn now.
Yep.
Remember, he's an Oral Roberts University student. I remember this like it was yesterday. He moves to Nashville during the summers, and he goes to Nashville. And what is the no-brainer? What do you think? What's the deal you'd have to offer Timbaland to get a job there working for one of the top producers of his time?
For any of the top producers, like any of the musicians that I listen to that came up under like the mentorship of like somebody big, was, hey, I'm a no-name songwriter. You write beats that don't have songs. How about I give you these songs, you make them hits, you get the credit for it.
You would love that to be true, and I want that to be true, but it's worse.
Oh, it's worse.
It's worse because, again, he's Timbaland. How many people are making that pitch? A lot.
Oh, yeah,
It's
hundreds.
whoever makes the most aggressive no-brainer. The aggressive that wasn't aggressive no-brainer. I'm talking about that crazy aggressive, that alpha no-brainer. That no-brainer you say, are you kidding me, man? This guy's working full-time at Pottery Barn. He wants to work for Timbaland, who's banging out hits every day. How's he going to get that deal, Dr. Breck? What do you think he did?
Man, I don't know. I'm trying to think here.
It's the Steven Spielberg move. He used the same move, too.
Did he throw in some maid service as well?
He says, I will work here for free doing anything forever.
I'll just get your coffee. Yeah.
So he didn't get a chance to do anything with him for a long time.
Yeah.
He's like the pool boy. He's like the cabin boy. He's like the towel guy. He's like the gripper. He's like the gear mover guy. You just have to get the golden look.
Yeah.
Then you got to have a no-brainer. If you're out there listening and you say, I don't know what a no-brainer is, I can't do it, get out of here. Do a deal that is hot. Let me tell the listeners about my first no-brainer with DJ Connection. Dr. Breck, how long have you been married?
15 years.
Okay, imagine.
No. 18 years.
18 years. Now imagine 18 years ago, you and your incredible wife are looking for a DJ, okay? Imagine the scenario. And you got a guy who looks like he's born yesterday,
Right.
20 years old, looks like he's born yesterday, driving a hand-painted Mazda MPV.
Right.
What kind of no-brainer do you think that I had to make to book those first weddings? Because I had a hot no-brainer when I was building DJConnection.com, but what was the no-brainer that I had to offer? What do you think?
Oh goodness.
It's
I mean,
hot.
the crazy hot no-brainer would be I'll do it for free.
This is what I said. I said, I'll DJ your wedding for $1.
For $1.
Now, my normal price that I like to charge is $500 for the whatever the package was. So normally the package would be, let's say, say you have 300 people. Okay, my normal package price would be $600, but I'll DJ this show for $1. Or if it was like 50 people, I'd say my normal show would be $500 is a smaller system, but I'll do it for $1. Now, here's the catch: as the show's wrapping up, I want you to pay me based upon what you think I'm worth, how good I did. So if you are rating me a perfect 10,
Right.
then pay me the $500. If for the middle package. If I'm a perfect 10, pay me the $600 for the big package.
Right.
But if I'm half as good as you wanted, pay me $300. If I'm 10% as good as you think and pay me the $60.
Now, how many
$50.
people were you actually a 10 out of 10, but they were cheapskates?
Maybe 2 out of 10 shows.
Okay.
It's not bad.
And they'd pay me like $100 or something. But all I'm saying is I won people over, baby.
Yeah.
Because that kind of deal is hot.
You brought the value, and then they paid for it.
So, Dr. Breck, what's the no-brainer that you offer at drbreck.com, DRBRECK.com?
Well, you can come in to our office, get an evaluation, a consultation, exam, x-rays if necessary, and treatment, all at no cost, no obligation.
All at no cost and no obligation.
Yep, free 99, as my friend Jason said
Whoa.
one time. I love that.
Now, what percentage of people come in there and they come in for the x-ray, the exam, the adjustment, and they never come back?
Very few.
Like 2 out of 10?
Maybe 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. I think that's a very good number. An elephant in the room, our first haircut's $1.
Right.
And I would say would you say, Jason? Probably 4 out of 10 people, 3 out of 10 people, we never see them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the deal is hot.
Yeah.
Right.
It gives you the golden look.
It does.
Well,
What's
and we
this-
get the opportunity to basically, you interview us, you see what we're all about, how we do what we do, and if you don't like it, you're not out anything but a little time.
Jason, let's say that you and I teamed up to buy a coffee shop, which I know you secretly want to do. So let's say we had
true.
I know you do. So let's say we had a coffee shop.
Yeah.
All right. And we have this coffee shop, and it's located in a great area. It's hot deal. Downtown, it's located by a Starbucks. So we're competing downtown Tulsa with another Starbucks.
Right.
What would be the no-brainer we'd have to do in your mind to win over the people? To win over the people. We're going head-to-head, all-out war versus Starbucks. For all the coffee people listening out there, what would you do?
I would have the lowest coffee prices going back to the beat any competitor's price, because as far as coffee shops go, everybody always marks everything up, and that's the one thing people always complain about is you pay $5 for a cup of coffee. So lowest prices for sure, and then on top of that, add on something like free refills or.
Now let me educate the listeners on the super move here. This is what you do. And I've worked with coffee places. This is what you do. If Starbucks charges $5.50, right, then you charge $5.50 too. But the
Right.
first beverage is on us, or it's $1.
Right.
Right.
First beverage is on us. You say, well, how do I know they're not going to come back and screw us over? All you got to do is enter into the database
Right.
to get that coffee. So all you got is your name. What's your name? Your phone number. I'll enter you into the system. Free coffee for you.
Yeah.
Now, why is that a powerful move, Dr. Breck?
Well, because one, you're giving them a sample. Again, you're bringing the
There it is.
value, and then they'll pay for it on the backside.
But then if they like it, if you over deliver with better coffee, better service, better music, better decor, better, then people don't mind paying the same price at Starbucks.
Right.
True.
Now, the thing about commodities is about keeping your prices always lower than everybody else. The danger with that is it's a sprint to the bottom.
True.
But so Dr. Breck, I mean, you're not the cheapest chiropractor in Oklahoma,
I'm not.
but the first experience is free.
It's free.
That's the move. That's the
Yep.
You're saying you believe you're one of the top chiropractors in the area based upon the level of care you offer.
Absolutely.
But your first exam is free.
Yeah.
So in a way, if you can visualize it, the prices are going to go up and all the way to the bottom for the first offer.
Right.
So for the first offer, it's the cheapest in town, but they're going up a little bit on the next offers.
Yeah, I mean, we're very competitive in our pricing.
Yeah.
We're still a great value, but at the same time,
Incredible value.
the first visit is absolutely free.
There's never been a better value than your
Wow.
chiropractic center. I tell you,
Thank
just walking into your bathroom and seeing that new tile, it's just a majestic thing. It's like a throne room. It's an unbelievable experience. You got to go check out his bathrooms at drbreck.com. Now, keystroke recording. Jason, why is this so? Again, we're talking today about not everyone deserves to be heard.
Right.
If you go out there and ask the average person, hey, is it cool? What do you think about working for someone who records your keystrokes? Now, I love recording keystrokes.
I can only imagine.
Now, why would I love to record keystrokes, Jason? And why do most people say, oh, that's unethical, that is shady, that creates a really weird environment for your team, knowing that you know what they're doing? Why is keystroke recording pushed back and held in such a low regard by most of humanity?
Well, it's like Breck said earlier with the call recording. It's the people who know they're not doing their job or know they're up to no good are the only people who are going to push back, or the people who have had instances where they've got caught doing something before because somebody did not tell them, or they did tell them. They're very transparent in their handbook. Hey, we record calls, we record keystrokes. Then they get caught doing something stupid and they're made to feel dumb, and I feel like holding people accountable is the biggest thing. So if somebody knows that they can't do anything wrong, it freaks them out. Yeah, the people who want to hit the panic switch, who want to hit that self-destruct button. It's like, I just want to send this awful email, or I just want to go to the site I shouldn't go to.
It's $7.20 per computer.
That's a deal.
To record the calls or to record the keystrokes forever at activetrack.com. ACTIVTRAK.com. I don't know why you would have any problem recording keystrokes at your office. I can't think of a reason. I mean, that's like, do you want to know the truth? No, I don't want to know the truth. Do you want to know how life is? I do not want to know how life is.
You can't handle the truth.
I mean, why would you not? It's crazy. Sir, we've got your bank balance. Do you want to look at it? No, I do not want to look at it. What is it? Now, video
Bury my
recording.
head in the sand.
The Nest cameras. You can get those Nest cameras right now. Those are great cameras. You can pick those up at Lowe's right now. The Nest cameras. Why would you want to have video recording in your lobby? Well, can somebody, Dr. Brett, could you tell me if I'm an automotive repair shop, why would I want to have the Nest cameras in my lobby? From the client side as well as from the business owner side.
Well, we live in a litigious society, and so everybody is. You end up in these situations where it's a he said, she said, he said, and so a lot of times, if you have it recorded, then it just takes care of it. There's clear evidence that shows one thing or another happened, and you don't have to wonder. And so a lot of maybe potential threats get eliminated right off the cuff.
That is it's amazing, though. It's amazing to me. I find it to be outstanding. I find it to be amazing to me that anybody could possibly push back about call recording, keystroke recording, video recording, the group interview.
Well, again, it keeps your own employees honest. I've had situations where you go to a store and they're like, I'm sorry, we can't accept cash, and it's like the company's just admitting we hire shady people because they're not allowed to handle any cash. Where video recording, if you got somebody stealing off the top, you're gonna see it. In our case, you can put a video right over the front desk. It's just right there where you can see. You are Big Brother.
Now, are you guys familiar, Jason? Are you familiar with this book called Proverbs?
Proverbs. I'm not.
Oh, Proverbs. My bad. That's like professional action items.
For a second, I was like, wait, hold on. This is either a trap or there is a book
That's a
called
great
Proverbs.
book. That's a great book title.
It is.
The professional action items.
Yeah,
Professional actions. Proverbs. All right. So this is a book in the Bible that is filled with words of wisdom that I think everybody should read, even if you're not a Christian, because there's universal truth in there that I think everybody should grasp. But one verse in particular that jumps out at me is Proverbs 13:20. Proverbs 13:20. Now, Proverbs 13:20. I'm going to read this verse to you. And I'd like Dr. Breck to kind of break it down. I don't expect you to be a biblical scholar, but I am going to break down I'm going to read the verse to you twice. You marinate on it, and then I would like for you to break it down for the listeners out there.
Absolutely.
So here we go. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Dr. Breck, how does that apply to being a business owner?
Oh, there's several applications I can make. Again, who you're around is who you're going to be like.
There we go.
I've heard it said the top 5 people you spend the most time with, that's who you'll be like in the next, year or so.
And that's Tim Ferriss wisdom, and Tim Ferriss is definitely not a Christian.
Yeah.
It's universal truth.
It is. But then you also have the flip side of that. And, if you're around suffering the company of fools, you are also, like you said a moment ago with the prices, you're on a sprint to the bottom. The lowest common denominator ends up winning out. So, if you got great quality people around you, you're going to have great quality events and life experiences. If you are at the lesser quality end of the gene pool, then you're going to have those more bad luck, as they like to say, oh, they're just always having bad luck. No, you create a lot of those things.
So let's think about this for a second. If you're out there today getting feedback from most people, listening to most people, you probably need to put on some earmuffs. You need to be running around your city with wearing some earmuffs. So people, though, are most always wrong about everything. I'm going to continue. I'm going to try to hammer this idea, because I want everyone to understand that most people are freaking wrong about everything all the time. Right. Not everyone. Right. I'm just talking about the vast majority, at least 75%. Now, last week, this is a story that's going to just freak out somebody, okay? Last week, we had a client at Sam Adams Realty. True story happened. They call the sign. Boop, 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 boop. Hi, I'm looking to buy that house.
Right.
And one of our agents answers the phone. Okay, yeah, okay, we can show it to you, whatever. They said, okay, yeah, and I have a friend of mine who's going to help show it. She's the agent, So then the person already found the house before calling Sam Adams,
right, or
before finding a real estate agent. Now, according to Door.com, it's a flat rate real estate company based in Dallas. A little more than 9 out of 10 people research and look for the house they're going to buy online.
Yeah,
before
I was one
calling
of those.
a realtor.
Well, I had a realtor, but I was doing the work.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So 9 out of 10 people are doing their own research. So the customer, the consumer, the buyer, the potential buyer of the home reaches out, and they want to offer. It's like $275,000. Now I'm a math wizard, so see if we can keep up with me here. Here we go.
Right.
275,000 times 6% equals there's $16,200 of commission at play here.
Right.
And then the client, the potential buyer, reaches out to us directly, and they said, "Now, what's this thing you guys are doing? $1,000 commission?" And our agent says, "Yeah, you just pay us $1,000."
Right.
And they're like, "So I could save $15,200 by buying a house from you?" And they go, "Well, yeah." And they go, "Okay, okay." So and they're having a hard time,
Right.
getting it. And so they talk to their friend who has
The realtor?
who's opened the house for them.
Okay.
Because they already found the house.
Right.
Their friend just drove over and opened the house for them.
They had the magic key.
The person who, they had the realtor box.
Right.
Get in the house. So their friend invested, let's call it an hour. They drove there, probably through traffic, a lot of adversity.
Right.
Might have had to signal
Horrible
or
traffic
turn or
here in
get
Tulsa.
gas or whatever. They drove there, opened the door, and then they go, "Yeah, I want to buy that house." And then they drove home.
Right.
So they got like an hour of their time invested. And their friend is like, no. You technically are working with me now.
Right.
So they can charge you $1,000, but you owe me $8,100 of commission.
Get out of here.
No, it's a true story. This happens all the time. That's what real estate is.
Right.
This is what real estate is. This is what real estate is in America.
But the contracts are complicated, so I'm going to have to help you on that part.
Right. And so here's the deal: is that the person, the buyer, hadn't signed with this real estate agent an agreement. And they said, "What really does an agent do?"
Right.
And we're like, "Well, they
magic
analyze the standardized contracts that are regulated by the government, so they're doing not a lot. But if you don't want to use them, we would encourage you not to." And they're thinking about this they're not a real friend. It's kind of like a person they know.
Right.
And they're going, if I just kind of, sever this relationship with this acquaintance,
Right.
I can save $8,100.
Correct.
And being that I don't talk to them very much, I'm okay with probably talking to them never. So they call him. Boop, 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 boop. "Hey, agent, I decided just not to use you. I'm just going to go direct." And the person saved a ton of money.
Right.
But it gets better. The person's thinking about moving forward now. They're thinking about just buying the house. And the other person says, the agent who got denied,
The former friend.
the former friend, says, "Hey, just so you know, though, your pre-approval is through this other person's, through this mortgage company that is run by by a family member of this person."
Okay. Yeah.
And they're going, "Your
plot twist.
Now your pre-approval, though, remember your loan is contingent upon the funding from my family member." And that family member tacked on $11,000 of closing costs.
Oh, my goodness.
And so they call our agent and say, "Do I have to use that lender or can I use someone else?" And our agent says, "Well, yeah, we've got several different lenders we'd recommend. And there's lots of them in Tulsa. Let me give you some phone numbers." And so they were going to get screwed again.
Right.
So their friend was going to make $11,000
Plus the 8,000.
plus the $11,000 on closing costs, $8,000 on commission. They were going to make $19,000.
Wow,
And
they really inflated that 16,000 of commission on that one, didn't they?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So Amanda ended up closing the deal, and we saved that buyer. Again, I mean, a significant amount of money, at least $15,000.
Right.
And then the closing costs by recommending a different lender.
Sure.
So they saved, $15,000 to $20,000, and at the close, the buyer's like, "What's the catch? How do you guys make any money?" And this is where I love. This is where I love it.
Right.
This is what we say. We say, "Here's the deal. There's no catch. We don't really make any money. Clay, who's the owner founder guy, he'll make $100. And they're like, "Well, how does he make any money?" Like, "Well, we'll have to do thousands of these."
Right.
But it's
It's
great.
in volume.
It's a no-brainer.
Right.
But you would not believe how many realtors this makes mad. Dr. Brett, can you guess as to why SamAdamsRealty.com is making realtors mad?
Oh, not at all. That situation times 1,000.
Right.
There's a lot of people with no more friends.
Over and over and over and over. We don't do open houses. We do closed houses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you have that low of a commission, people want to buy that house. Right. If you were thinking about buying a house when you knew that little commission was going out,
Right.
does that give you more flexibility as a seller or a buyer to negotiate?
Sure. Yeah.
Because there's less commission at play.
Right.
It's just a better deal.
Right.
I mean, you just save, the 16,000. So now if the buyer wants, 5,000 off, you're like, yeah, I can still do that, and I'm coming out ahead.
But before the internet, Before the internet had all the MLS information available online,
Right.
realtors served a lot of value because they would hunt for houses.
Information is power.
They knew what you did not know.
Yep.
But now they don't. Now it's just Sam Adams, we are doing to real estate what Uber did to taxis. We're just going in there and just eating up the industry. It's great. But if you're out there today, and I'm telling you, if you are a potential buyer or seller, it would make no sense to not use a company like Door.com or Sam Adams Realty because you save a lot of money.
Right.
But if you go out there and ask the average realtor, they're going to go, it's shady. I'll tell you that. It's got to be shady. There's got to be a catch. There's no catch. But people say it's got to be shady. It has to be. Now, other areas I get pushed, other areas where most people are wrong, and this will be the final one I want to hit on. This is where most people are wrong. The 40-hour work week. Now, that's a sacred cow for somebody.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, let me walk people through my rationale for this, all right?
Right.
Dr. Breck, do you remember the old story? 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. You remember hearing that as a kid?
I do.
And let's just say that you're like, well, Columbus came over here and then spread disease and killed everybody. Okay, maybe you don't like that guy. Let's just say we do remember there were pilgrims.
There were pilgrims.
Some people say they were terrorists. Okay, but the point is, they came over here. They, whoever they are, they came over here. And
Puritans.
they decided to survive. They didn't want to die as much.
Right.
So they thought we need to probably plant some corn, plant some crops, and build some houses.
Right.
Now, did they have the luxury of going, well, brother, everyone's name was like probably Hezekiah, Josiah, Jebediah. Oh, brother Jebediah, do you want to go on break? We're going to go to a Subway. Well, one, there wasn't a Subway. But two, the concept of going on a break for an hour, what would have happened if they would have worked 40 hours a week while building their houses and planting their crops that first year?
We probably wouldn't be here because they would have frozen through the winter.
Interesting.
Their houses would have been half built.
Interesting. So in the agricultural society, when everybody had to plant their own food, did people work 40 hours a week?
No.
Okay.
Far more.
Okay. So then I think about we go forward into the history, into we get into the big, profound highlights of American history. DrBreck.com. When you started Dr. Breck, your chiropractic center,
Right.
did you work 40 hours a week?
No.
Interesting. Now we've had Warren. We've had so many big guests on the show. We've had Paul Hood on the show, who loves to give all of our listeners a copy of Snowball, Warren Buffett's only authorized biography. And I was reading, Warren Buffett's book, and it's occurred to me that Warren Buffett, he didn't work 40 hours a week.
No, I understand he spends like 6 hours every day reading.
So you think about, so if Warren Buffett, who's done very well,
A little, yeah, he's done all right.
doesn't work 40 hours a week. If Dr. Breck has done well, 40 hours a week, I can kind of relate to Dr. Breck. If Wolfgang, we've had Wolfgang Puck on the show. Turns out he doesn't work 40 hours a week. He works 6 days a week. And you think about, John Maxwell, the leadership speaker. We've had him on the show, and he doesn't work 40 hours a week. And then you think about Seth Godin. Everybody we've had on the show who's worth more than $10 million, more than $1 billion. Every single guest we've interviewed doesn't work 40 hours a week.
Right.
Every one of them.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
We've never had a guest on the show, and I've read a ton. I'm not like Ty Lopez, where I claim that I read an autobiography every hour, every day.
Right.
But I have read a lot of autobiographies, a lot of biographies of very successful people. We're talking about Steve Jobs. We're talking about Ben Franklin. Talking about Thomas Edison. Talking about Henry Ford. Talking about Richard Branson. Talking about Oprah. Talking about T.D. Jakes. Steven Spielberg. Talking about very successful people. And I have never, ever met anybody who's had any level of success at all that works a 40-hour work week. Right. Ever.
I believe you.
Now let's go back, because we don't like the Pilgrim story, and we don't like these modern stories.
Right.
We need to go back to get further justification.
Okay.
Right. So, Breck, are you familiar with that book called The Bible?
I am.
And I know a lot of people think it's obscure and they don't like it. That's fine. But let's go with Adam. And what was it? Who was in the garden? Was it Adam and Steve or Eve? Who was it? Adam and
Eve.
Oh, okay, my bad. So Adam and Eve, they're in the garden, and I thought it was Adam and Steve all these years. No, Adam and Eve, they couldn't produce a child. That's why it was Adam and Eve. So they're there, Adam and Eve, in the garden. Why are you harping on that? I don't know. Why am I? I'm just bringing up the facts. So Adam and Eve are in the garden, and God says, Adam, here's the garden. I want you to work it.
Yeah.
Now, the Bible was written originally in this language called Hebrew.
Right.
So it was written by people that drink a lot. No, not Hebrews. Hebrew. It was written in Hebrew, which some call God's language. We've had Rabbi Lappin on the show. He breaks down the Hebrew. He studied the Hebrew. But the word work in the Hebrew, which is the language in which the Bible was written, states that Adam was given the garden to work it. But the word work in Hebrew means worship. It also is defined as 6 days. That's what it means in the Hebrew language, is a 6-day work week. It tells Adam he's supposed to rest on the Sabbath. Do you remember that part? Dr. Beck, we're supposed to rest on the Sabbath?
Yes.
So that means the 7th day, but it's pretty specific that we're supposed to work on the 6th day. Why do you think we're supposed to? Why do you feel like that Genesis? Do you feel like it's random as a guy who does believe the Bible? Do you believe that it's random that it talks about the 6th day?
No, I don't.
Interesting pattern. Now we go into Exodus, and Exodus talks about working on the 6th day,
Right.
resting on the 7th day.
Where we get the 10 Commandments.
It's interesting. So I don't know. I don't know if I like it though, because it's Genesis 1:24 through 26. I don't know if I like this part, but it says, God said, I command the earth to give life to all kinds of tame animals, wild animals, and reptiles. And that's what happened. God made every one of them. Then he looked at what he had done and said, it was good. God was a little bit not humble, you know. God said, now we will make humans, and they will be like us. We will let them rule the fish and the birds and all the other living creatures. And if you just keep reading, you're going to find that he talks about he got it all done in 6 days, but he rested on the 7th. Now, I just am struggling to understand why God would hammer home working 6 days in Exodus and in Genesis. Could it be that it is not possible to become successful working 5 days a week? Now, you would have to ask yourself, where does the jackassery, concept, where does the jackass, where does the concept, where does the concept of the 40-hour work week come from?
I've heard this before, but it's right there on the tip, and I know it. I've had it and I've lost it. But
1938.
Okay, I was going to say I think it was around the Depression era.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 1938. He rolls out this thing called the Fair Labor Standards Act, which officially creates the 40-hour work week. Now we've got a bunch of hipsters living in a coffee shop, living on the couch with their mom and dad, working 35 hours a week, watching Bernie Sanders YouTube videos, wondering why they're not having success.
Yeah, somebody else needs to pay off my student loan.
You can't have success unless you say yes to working 6 days a week. You can't compete if you don't work 6 days a week. I've never had a single client walk out of that door as a consulting client who's had any success at all that works 40 hours a week. I have never seen an author become successful working 40 hours a week. I've never seen a musician become successful working 40 hours a week. I've never seen a pastor. What? Oh, I've seen some pastors try.
Or 20 hours.
No, I've seen it.
I'm sure.
I've seen it. It's interesting. It's interesting how Wolfgang Puck goes on less vacation time than most people, but yet people look up to him.
Right.
Interesting. So I would just say, if you're out there today and you're thinking about, Jason, let's say that somebody has a business coaching session with you, and they think about going home and asking their spouse for feedback on the strategy or their best friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why is that dangerous? To ask your spouse, hey, honey, what do you think about the idea of call recording?
Well, it's dangerous because, the whole premise of what we're talking about is earmuffs. Some people don't deserve to be heard. And the one thing that I could throw out there, which I have to edit it since it's on the podcast, is opinions are like stomas. Everybody's got one, or a couple. So you have to really, so many people operate in that opinion field.
There we
I've
go.
had this argument or conversation, which always turns into an argument so many times. So it's like, I think this. Well, that doesn't matter. If somebody who knows something is telling you something, that's a fact, and facts are irrefutable.
What is your skin color?
My skin color is brown. I always joke and say it's like caramel.
So let's have that conversation that people can't have because the whole I'm going to offend somebody.
He's a beautiful man.
no,
Let's have this real quick.
Yes.
I went to school in a town that was predominantly white in Minnesota. It was called Dassel Cokato. And there was a myth going around that the white guys can't jump.
Right.
Or dunk.
Right.
And there was this one town called Waconia. W-A-C-O-N-I-A. And there's these two brothers named the Hadines. There was Joe Hadine. I can't remember his brother's name. There's two Hadine brothers. And these guys were like 6'3", and they could fly.
Yeah.
And they would dunk and just all the time. But in my town, I would like to have the conversation that you couldn't possibly have in modern America right now.
Right.
I'm going to have that. Someone will get offended, but we have somebody who's not white in the room to mediate. He can be a referee here.
I love to do that.
This is what they said. This was what people in my town said. They go, well, you know, the reason why white guys can't dunk is it's a genetic thing.
Right.
Have you heard
We're-
that
we're
argument?
built
Dr.
differently.
Breck,
I've heard it.
You played sports.
Yeah, I could dunk actually. Not anymore, but there was a time.
Now, I'm telling you, though, I've heard that, though. That.
And I'm Caucasian. I'm white.
How tall are you?
5'11".
Okay, so I'm
Barely.
just saying, I've heard, though, that argument in the town. They were going, you know, the reason why we can't dunk is because we're missing part of like a tendon. Or
Yeah, there's a little tendon
it's a
missing.
little tendon. It's it's urban myth, you know.
Right.
Right.
Or you'll hear a lot of white guys go, well, the reason why that guy can't rap is because he's not black.
Right. Because his tongue operates differently.
Or they'll reverse it. So I'd like Jason, because you are white and black simultaneously.
True.
You're like Obama.
Yeah.
You-
I
what-
like to think of it that way.
But you grew up where you probably weren't super accepted by either group, were you?
No, not at all. That's what my whole, like, back when I did stand-up, that was my whole routine, because a lot of people don't get it. And then I can't have that conversation, so you put it in, like, a funny element, and they're like, oh, okay.
So I would like to pick your brain. What are stereotypes that you have heard about black people that you could share on the podcast, or about white people that you're like, that's insane?
Well, so one that I can just like completely debunk is like the whole rap thing. It's like, oh, that guy can't rap because he's white. It has nothing to do with your genetics. It has everything to do with how creative you are, and if you know anything about the whole structure. So rhythms, 808s, flows, knowing how to pull like similes, metaphors, all of that stuff. Because if you look at it, who's one of the highest rated and highest grossing rappers of all time?
Eminem.
Both of you at the same time without even having to think about it.
Eminem and
Yeah,
Mac
great
Miller,
freestyler.
those guys they did things that hadn't previously done by a Caucasian, but it was because there's very few Caucasians that were as committed to the craft as those guys.
Exactly.
But then you flip it around, and what are things you hear about black people stereotypes that are maybe not positive?
One of my favorites that always makes me laugh is, oh, you know, it's just those African Americans, they can't swim because their bones are too dense. I'm a great swimmer, and I know a guy, his name's Robert. He's almost 7 feet tall, over 200 pounds, one of the fastest swimmers I've ever seen.
And so all I'm saying is, if you're out there today and you want to play hockey and you're black, if you want to play basketball and you're white, you want to be a rapper and you're white, you want to you can break the through the stereotypes, but there's all this ridiculous momentum called opinions.
Well, and I'll add something. In my own ignorance, growing up in rural Oklahoma, I remember this little movie that Mario Van Peebles did called Posse.
Posse. Okay.
And the cool part about it, I mean, it was just a cowboy movie, probably early '90s, I'm guessing, and but at the beginning, it actually like goes through like statistics about like every third cowboy was black. And it's just something, like most Western movies don't really show in the movies or speak to. But I hadn't really even thought about it. It's just, like I said, just in my ignorance, just hadn't really considered. And then you start kind of seeing, well, yeah, that would make sense.
I just, there's so many people out there that should be quarterback.
But I mean, well,
they don't
and where I was going
try.
to go with it,
Yeah, go for it.
I've got a rodeo, a patient who's a rodeo cowboy. I mean, well-built, athletic black guy. I mean, there's
the
a lot of black cowboys still today.
And I mention this because there's somebody out there that wants to play quarterback, but you're black.
Yep.
And so you don't try.
Right.
Because you're like, I
Because
could
it's
probably be
been
running
said
back.
that, quarterbacks are white guys.
There
Yeah.
you go. And there's somebody out there who wants to be a running back, but you don't try because you're white.
Yeah.
And there's all these. And so I'm just asking you right now, today,
Break the barrier.
to take a moment and write down, just make a list of the areas in your life that you're being limited by the opinions and the false beliefs of those around you. Make a list of those things. So let's get into our list we talked about today. Real estate. Maybe you're thinking about buying real. I just talked to a young couple this week, and the discussion was, should we break our lease and go buy a house? And I'm like, well, how much do you owe? And they're like, well, you'd pay the first month's rent and the last month. It's a 2-month penalty. So it's like $1,200 to break the lease.
Right.
Huh? And I'm like, yes, break the lease. Why? Because that's an agreement. It's not unethical to break a lease if you're settling based upon the terms in the agreement.
Right.
So if you're leasing a house and the agreement states that, if you want out, you got to pay 2 months, do it.
Yeah. And don't complain about the penalty, but pay the penalty.
Do it because the interest rates have never been lower.
Right.
Do it. I talked to another couple this week. They're going, I'm thinking about buying a foreclosure, but I just don't know if we don't have the experience to do it. And I was told by my dad I probably shouldn't buy a foreclosure until I'm in like my 30s. What are you saying? There's somebody out there thinking about getting married right now, but you're like, well, I was told I need to wait till after college. Get out of here. Get out of here. Everybody told me, Clay, you shouldn't get married in your 20s. And is she pregnant, by the way? No, she wasn't pregnant. And yes, I got married when I was 20. Well, why? Because I did not benefit at all from being on the dorm rooms. People say, well, college is where you meet but most of your friends for life. That may be true for you or it may not be. I don't talk to anybody that I went to college with. And you might say, well, Clay, the group interview, it sounds efficient, but my office front desk person thinks it's offensive. Your front desk person also thinks it's offensive that you should still be recruiting even when you're fully staffed. Why? Because it makes people replaceable that won't be compliant. Call recording. Well, my front desk guy says it's unethical to record calls. He'd feel like he's being micromanaged. Right, which is why he needs the call recording. The no-brainer. Right. You're thinking about changing your life by coming up with a no-brainer offer, but you're not going to do it because you ran it by your husband, who's wrong.
True.
Right. Listen, female business owner. I've talked to a lot of you female business owners, and I know there's a lot of discussion about who should lead the household and these certain things, but work with me on this, female business owner. If you're right, he doesn't have to be right too. Just because he's married to you doesn't mean he should get a voice about how you're going to mark up the prices of your retail items. Quit asking him. He's as broke as a joke, and you know it. All right? Just because you're married to the guy doesn't mean he gets to speak into your life jackassery.
Well, or that he automatically got an MBA somewhere.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Another example would be, some people say, Clavis, what you're saying to me, that it is harsh, and I don't believe it. Have you actually cut off communication with members of your family who are actually in your close family? Have you actually cut off relationships forever because of their toxic worldview? Yes, because I do not need to debate the merits of capitalism every Thanksgiving. I don't need to
Now,
work
please
on
pass
my
mashed
pitch
potatoes.
every Thanksgiving. I don't need to work on my anti-Bernie Sanders pitch. And the thing is, we used to have these people come over for Thanksgiving. I used to go over there for Thanksgiving. You sit down. I say, how are you? This is how the conversation would go every year.
Right.
How are you? I said, things are great. I said, well, so how great are they? Well, I'm doing well. I mean, I haven't been able to find a job for like 6 months. And, this economy's terrible, And you're making so much. Don't you think it's wrong that you make so much and I make so little? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Nope.
Then we sit down to watch football. Usually it's the Lions versus who gives a crap. Half the family's asleep. People ate too much turkey. They're watching the game, and it's like, man, it's sad that those athletes make so much more than teachers. No, it's not. Because if America wanted to pay $100 a ticket to watch a third-grade teacher teach, we would do it. But we don't want to. I'm not going to run around town wearing a jersey with the name of a teacher on it. You're such a mean person. Okay, I'm asking you, Mr. Listener, why aren't you wearing a jersey with the name of a third-grade teacher on it? Why aren't you showing up at random high schools and paying can I pay $200 to sit really close to watch? No, you don't do that. You pay $200 to go watch the Thunder play, to watch the Denver Nuggets play. You'll drop $300 to go watch the Miami Marlins play a baseball game, and you won't even watch the game. You're just going to be running around, drinking beer, having a blasty blast. But it's easy to say, well, ideologically, teachers should definitely get paid more. Well, maybe we agree with that, but they don't, so move on. But every year I'd have to have the same stupid conversation with somebody who just wants to pick a fight every year. So I remember how freeing it was. I called him.
Right.
Oh, I remember it was so helpful. I called him. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, what's going on? What's up? I just wanted you to know that I will never speak to you again. So I just wanted to let you know.
Just to be clear, this is our last conversation.
Let's just role play all the scenarios real quick. And they're like, "Are you kidding me?" No. This is real. This is happening. I'm a 30-year-old man. I've been putting up with you for 30 years now.
Right.
So I'm just gonna tell you how it is. At the birth of one of my children, you showed up and went on some rant about health care. At every birthday party, wedding you've ever been to, a couple of which we've had to go to for you, it's always been toxic. So here, I just want to make sure you understand the words coming out of my mouth here. If you are near death, like say you're on the side of the road and you have one person to call, don't call me because I'm blocking it. All right. If you are needing someone to attend a wedding number 3, don't call me. If you are finding yourself needing a friend, I am not that friend. If you say, I need my family, you don't have it anymore. Whatever paperwork we need to fill out, we're done. I'll change my last name if I need to, but we're done. And they're going, really? I hate you. Like, well, good. I want that hate to keep you from calling me. And you burn that bridge. And I'm telling you, there's somebody out there that's got a abusive uncle in your family. Maybe you were raised with a father that abused you. I've had multiple clients of mine who their fathers beat them as kids and as adults, verbally beat them.
Right.
And I'm like, I give you permission to never speak to your father again.
Right.
I realize he's in a prison somewhere, but you don't have to answer the phone call.
Just because you share a little bit of DNA doesn't mean that you have to continue to have a relationship.
If
it's toxic, then it doesn't need to be in your life.
Just because you live in the hood doesn't mean you have to stay in the hood.
True.
Just because you live in the woods doesn't mean you have to stay in the woods.
Right.
I see a lot of clients who are sharp people that come in, they bring in their staff with them, great people, and they'll say, well, hey, I would like to introduce you to my staff. This here's my brother-in-law, and he's helping me with my sales. And I'm like, okay, what's your name? Well, my name's Cletus, and I do all the sales, and I'll tell you what. And go, well, Cletus, this week did you make your, we're talking, this week is, I guess we're supposed to make 100 calls a day, is that right? Well, I was, but I didn't do it. Well, why not? Well, because I didn't want to. And I see this business owner being limited and held, and they're being sabotaged by their redneck cousin Cletus. And I'm going, hey, Mr. Business Owner, have you ever thought about firing Cletus? Well, I would never. What? You ever thought about firing Cletus? No. Why? Because he's my cousin. You're aware that Cletus is stealing money from you and not making calls and not doing the job right, and you're not going to fire. Well, then they'll say something like, "Well, blood's thicker than water." I'm like, a perm was a haircut in the 80s. I don't know. I mean, what does that mean? How is that helpful? That statement? Blood's thicker than water. Okay, well. A perm was a haircut in the 80s. Well, what does that mean? Nothing. The point is you got to punt that person. I mean, Jason, have you seen this before? Dr. Breck, have you seen this before? Yep. I mean, I want to get your take on this. Jason, have you seen a client who could be successful, but they have a moron as a partner, friend, and somebody in their business that's just sabotaging it through their passive-aggressive jackassery?
Same situation, and that same person was the head of sales and all of their leads, and every week that we would meet, the business owner could have been fantastic, but he left everything that was going to jumpstart the sale. So the person who's supposed to make the calls, who's supposed to set the appointments, supposed to record all the data, go to somebody who didn't want to do it. And then he didn't have the stones to fire them because they were family.
So I'm just telling you, if you're out there today, if you want to become successful, you're in a rare group of people if you get there. And it's not lonely at the top. It's just peaceful.
That's great.
Yeah,
it's very peaceful.
I'm going to write that down.
It's very peaceful.
It's not lonely. It's peaceful.
No, and actually, I just finished handwriting a book about that. I have 2 books coming out that are handwritten. And but I mean, so yesterday at Camp Clark, we're putting in the row of trees. We're digging a trench for the entryway.
Yes. Can't wait
finishing
to see
up. Yeah, it's really cool stuff. And there was no drama.
Right.
The whole day. Nobody had a drug problem. Nobody was having issues. We didn't have any fighting, no screaming, no yelling, no stealing. No Bernie Sanders debates. It was just a peaceful thing. I didn't go over to my neighbor's house and give them feedback.
Right.
They didn't come over to me and give me feedback. There's no fighting. There's no affairs. There's no stealing. It was a peaceful place. But Dr. Breck, speaking to the life of somebody out there listening who's got to break ties with somebody today. If there's somebody in their life they've got to break ties with, help somebody out there.
Oh, man. All right. So, like I said before, if you share some DNA with somebody, it does not mean that they need to continue to be a toxic force in your life. So as an adult, Clay, myself, I believe Jason, we all 3 give you permission to no longer have that person in your life. And so, if it's a work environment, first of all, as a business owner, I recommend not ever hiring family in the first place.
There's a lot of truth there.
That's my personal
and I would
rule.
say this. I would say this because I want to make sure everyone gets this. Only hire somebody who you would fire if that is what was required.
Right.
So if you hire somebody who's unfireable, so I would say, yes, I agree with the don't hire family.
Yep.
Unless you're willing to fire them.
Right.
Also, don't hire friends unless you're willing to fire them. And don't hire anybody unless you're willing to fire them. Because if you have somebody you can't fire, that's a bad story.
Then you're now hostage again.
Hostage.
Yep. And so, anything that's holding you back, if you actually want to be successful and you don't want to be that statistic of the 9 out of 10 small businesses that will fail, then you have to be willing to do what others aren't willing to do. And sometimes that's draw the hard line and, rid your life of that toxicity and those toxic relationships.
Think about this. In a world where 75% of employees steal from the workplace, 75%, and 85% of people lie on their resumes, and 9 out of 10 small business owners fail, you probably should put on some earmuffs because not everyone deserves to be heard. And now without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And I mean, we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us. And it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builder shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing. And Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us, and I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it, because we sure haven't.